Like many of our guests here tonight, our next speaker went from fan to filmmaker, responsible for several feature films and award-winning documentaries, including The Sci-Fi Boys, the Saturn Award-winning tribute to the original Backpack, Forrest, Ray Bradbury, and Ray Harryhausen. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Davids.
Thank you. When you were asked which famous monsters you got first, someone here called out number 27. I heard that. The one with the Cyclops on the cover. And I was honored to be in that issue as a young teenager. Forrest, Ackerman, and James Warren had published some pictures from some of the amateur monster and stop motion films that I was making as a kid in Garrett Park, Maryland. It truly influenced my life, and by the time he put me in issue 35, when I was an honorable mention winner in the Siegfried Saves Metropolis contest, I was sure that I was going to be a producer, because Forrest said so. As a matter of fact, Forrest wrote the script for Siegfried Saves Metropolis that many of you may have made a film of or entered that contest. Way back when. Well, a lot of time has passed since then. I, like the others who have spoken here today, loved Forrest, still loved him so dearly, like a father. He means so much to me. When his wife, Wendy, passed away, he would send out letters to his friends that he would mass produce, and they all began WWW60. WWW85. And Forrest explained that stood for World Without Wendane. His world really changed when Wendane left him. And our world changed when Forrest left us, December 4th. I calculated, and today is WWF94. We lost him 94 days ago. And I think the best way to keep Forrest alive, his memory, his contribution, his friendship, his generosity, is for all of us to keep a bond with each other and keep our friendships alive and fresh, because Forrest lives on in those who love him and appreciate the great and irreplaceable contribution that he has made.
Yeah.
I had help from some of those who are here today when I made the film The Sci-Fi Boys, including, thank you, John Landis, Rick Baker, Ray Bradbury is here, Jeff Rack, who helped so much with the production. There may be others who I haven't seen yet today. On the anniversary of George Powell's death, I think it was in 2003, I got together with Forrest and said, let's pay a visit to George. Let's go to his grave. I remembered that Forrest had read the eulogy at George Powell's funeral. I was there in 1980 when he delivered that in Holy Cross Church in Marina Del Rey. And thanks to Lee Harris, I believe it was, who also helped with the Sci-Fi Boys, I had a copy of that original eulogy. The clip I wanted to show you was our trip to George's grave, where Forrest paid his respects, rereading the eulogy at the grave, and then I was able to flash back to the voice of Forrest's original reading of that eulogy in 1980.
You know, Forrest J. Ackerman was the best friend science fiction ever had. You know, he was the Walt Disney of what he called sci-fi. He's the guy who introduced the monster fans to the spaceship fans. Famous monsters of filmland met in head-on collision with spacemen, and the survivors agreed that aliens are cool. You know, he inspired a lot of us to read. I mean to read a lot instead of to read a little. Then he made sure that we read the works of his friend Ray Bradbury, because he knew Bradbury would teach us all those lessons that we needed to learn. He was the personal friend of many people in this room. Think about that. Just look around and think about that. He took me seriously, and I could never quite figure that out. I collaborated with him on a number of projects over the years. I wrote for the Dynacom Famous Monsters only when Forrest was editor. Worked with Buddy Barnett and Mike Koppner on bringing back Spacemen through cult movies, made sure Forrest contributed to Jesse Lilly's and my Mondo Cult magazine. Did stuff for Monster Ram, if anybody remembers Monster Ram. Oh wow, that's amazing. But what my big thrill was, he invited me to work on him with a coffee table science fiction art book called The Worlds of Tomorrow. And I just can't believe I got to work on a coffee table book with Forrest, and many of the pictures in this book were not in his collection. Collectors Press managed to find pictures, old art, that he didn't have everything in this book. And then Ray Bradbury endorsed the book, John Landis endorsed the book, and we put in lots and lots of pictures so Joe Dante could enjoy it. Actually, we all live in Dante's Inferno, and I mean that in a good way. I'll just say that, when you get right down to it, he had many lives. Have you ever noticed the most interesting people have actually several lives instead of one? Maybe that's why we're all into the superhero stuff so much, because, one life is maybe not enough. Forrest truly had several lives. He was an amazing agent, He just was an amazing person. It's no wonder his favorite magazine was amazing, because he was amazing. I'd just like to wrap it up by saying, I know that Tim just mentioned a number of the people who are here, but I just want to make a reference to some of the wonderful women that I know that Forrest's world touched. And so I want to mention Ann Robinson again. I want to mention Carla Limley. I want to mention Lydia Van Vogt. I want to mention his amazing attorney, J.C. Applebaum. And I'm sorry Jessie Lilly couldn't be here, her husband's sick, but I want to mention Jessie Lilly, who would have been here otherwise. And finally, I must mention the great Brink Stevens. When you walked in the theater, there's a poster for a movie called The Boneyard Collection. Brink Stevens is in that film. It's the last feature film appearance of Forrest Ackerman, and filmmakers Ed Plum and L.J. Dobb thought that Forrest should play Dr. Acula. Fred Olen Ray had him playing Dracula in Attack of the 60-Foot Centerfold, and now Plum and Dobb have him playing Dr. Acula in a feature film finally, The Boneyard Collection, and you can read about it and hear about the showing on Tuesday from the poster out front. And that's it for the ad. Forrest would appreciate me doing a little plug, or otherwise he wouldn't think it was Brad Linaweaver was Invasion of the Body Snatchers if I wasn't promoting something. Thank you, Forrest J. Ackerman. Heaven had to open up a whole new section for your collection.